Hello everyone, welcome to Currentaffairs Hub. So this is the IPM series for UPSC examination. In this series we are discussing everyday daily MCQ related mains answer writing practice questions from current affairs. Especially we are covering the issues from Hindu, Indian Express and PIB. So this discussion is focused on 23rd October 2022. So we will go directly into the video, friends. First question, which of the following statements are correct regarding East Asia Summit? Number 1, it is established in 2005 and it is a forum of 18 regional leaders for cooperation on issues facing the Indo-Pacific region. Statement 2, it is an Asian-centered forum, so it can only be chaired by an Asian member. Statement 3, India is going to chair the East Asian Summit 2022 going to be held in Kuala Lumpur. Select the correct answer using the code given below. So friends, take your time and answer this question. Have you answered this question? This came in today's Hindu newspaper in the headlines. This Asian and East Asian Summit is going to be held this year in November 2nd week in Cambodia, capital Phnom Penh. But what happened is that on that particular week, Saudi Arabia King is going to meet Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So it looks like that we will be missing this particular East Asian Summit and Asian Summit this year. So that was reported in today's Hindu newspaper. But regarding prelims examination, questions related to the member countries and other objectives of Asian and East Asian Summit can be asked in the prelims exam. So that's why we have asked this question. Now going into the question, you should know the basics of Asian and East Asian Summit. Friends, Asian you know very well is founded in 1967 and it consists of 10 member countries. Among them, the first 5 are located to the east of India, that is Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam. And then the other 5 countries are island countries, that is Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Brunei, Philippines. So remember in this order, friends. And what happened is that in 2005, this ASEAN has incorporated additional members and it has renamed and it has another organization called East Asian Summit. And here it has included member countries from India, China. And due to the dominant of China can play in the East Asian Summit, Asian members invited USA also to be one of its members. That's why US is a member country of East Asian Summit. Is it clear? So we have India, China, USA, and China to balance the USA's presence, it has invited Russia. So we have now India, China, USA, Russia, and the additional 4 countries are Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand. Is it clear? And there is another grouping called Asian plus 3 and that refers to 10 Asian member countries and China, Japan and South Korea. So remember all these facts, friends, and anything can be in the UPSC examination. And the main objective of East Asian Summit is it focuses on 6 major issues, that is education, health, environment, finance, disaster management and connectivity. So these are the major thrust areas of East Asian Summit. Now going into the question, East Asian Summit, it is established in 2005 and it is a forum of 18 regional leaders, issues facing the Indo-Pacific region. That is correct. That's what we have discussed till now. ASEAN is founded in 1967 whereas East Asian Summit in 2005. That is correct. Now going into the second statement, it is an Asian centered forum, so it can only be chaired by an Asian member. Friends, since there is an usage of keyword only, you might have eliminated this particular statement, but if you do that, this particular do mistake, because the second statement given here is correct, friends. In UPSC you need to be very alert, because whenever they uses only the question, the statement cannot be wrong. That's why I always ask you to cross verify it again. Fine. So the second statement is correct. Why they want only Asian to be its chaired person? Reason is because they want Asian members to play a dominant role in East Asian Summit. That is the reason. India is going to chair the East Asian Summit. That can never happen because India is not a Asian member. So third statement is wrong. And again, one more fact related to that is also wrong. 2022 Summit is going to be held in Kuala Lumpur. That is wrong. Reason is this East Asian Summit 2022 is going to happen in Cambodian capital Phnom Penh. And next year, East Asian Summit and Asian Summit will happen in Indonesia. Is it clear? So the answer for this question, once you eliminate option 3, it is option A, 1 and 2 only. Is it clear? Now we'll move into the next question. The term Mayday Call seen in the news refers to A. Protest call by labor union to increase wages. B. Distress call over radio communication by pilots. C. Restriction call on moonlighting by IT employees. D. Alert call over the dangers of climatic change. Friends, take your time and answer this question. Have you answered this question? Again, this particular question is picked from Hindu newspaper, which was reported in the last 2 to 3 days and again today also. This is related to a army chopper accident happened in Lower Siang Valley district of Arunachal Pradesh bordering China. And here the pilot, before crashing into the mountain, he has pressed the Mayday Call or the distress call for the radio communicating with the officials. Is it clear? So the Mayday Call here is the option B, distress call over radio communication by pilots. Now we'll go into the next question. With reference to LV-M3-M2 or One Web India 1 mission, consider the following statements. Number 1, it is the first commercial mission of LV-M3. Statement 2, it is the first multi-satellite mission with 36 One Web satellites on board. Statement 3, it is the first Indian rocket with 6-ton payload. Statement 4, it is the first NSIL mission with LV-M3. Statement 5, it is the first launch of LV-M3 to LEO. Select the correct answer using the code given below. So friends, take your time and answer this question. Have you answered this question? Without conceptual clarity, it will be very difficult to answer this particular question, friends. And in addition to that, you should have gone through the newspaper in depth by studying the background issues also. Then only you can answer. Is it clear? And this particular issue is picked from today's Hindu newspaper because today ISRO has launched this particular mission into space successfully. With reference to the facts about this particular mission, ISRO has launched the commercial satellite using GSLV Mach 3. Friends, in GSLV we have 3 versions, that is GSLV Mach 1, GSLV Mach 2, then we have GSLV Mach 3. GSLV Mach 1 can carry payload of satellites weights up to 1500 kg, whereas in case of GSLV Mach 2 we can carry satellite weights up to 2500 kg. And when it comes to GSLV Mach 3, it has the payload carrying capacity of up to 4000 to 4500 kg. Is it clear? But what happened is that ISRO has a special commercial division, that is New Space India Limited. It has made a contract with UK based OneWeb company, in which Bharati Airtel, that is a Bharati agency, India's Airtel company, is having a major stakeholder and investor. It has signed a contract with Indian Space Agency for launching 36 communication satellites, that is low Earth orbit. And for doing that, Indian Space Agency had a challenge, that is it needs to design the space launching vehicle to carry satellites of weight of more than 4500 kg. So what happened is that it has remodified the GSLV Mach 3 and it has renamed it as LV-M3, where in this particular space launch vehicle it can carry payloads up to 8 ton, that is 8000 kg, but currently this mission carried only up to 6 ton. Is it clear? So we have launched around 36 communication satellites in low Earth orbit successfully. In addition to that, there are so many milestones in this particular project because this is the first commercial satellite which is launched in GSLV Mach 3. And in addition to that, this is the heaviest rocket which has been launched by Indian Space Agency. That for New Space India Limited, this is the first launch to low Earth orbit using LV-M3. Is it clear? So these are some of the facts related to that. Now going into this question. Statement 1, it is the first commercial mission of LV-M3, that is correct. Statement 2, it is the first multi-satellite mission with 36 satellites on board, that also we have discussed, that is also correct. And third statement, it is the first Indian rocket with 6-ton payload, that is also correct. Now moving into the fourth one, it is the first New Space India Limited mission with LV-M3, that is also correct. And statement 5, it is the first launch of LV-M3 to LEO, that is low Earth orbit. So all the statements given here are correct, friends. So the option D is the correct answer. Now moving into the next question. Consider the following statements. A supernova is the smallest explosion of a star that takes place in space. Statement 2. Supernovas are often seen in other galaxies as it is difficult to see in our Milky Way galaxy because dust blocks our view. Statement 3. Scientists recently observed brightest of all time boat caused by a supernova that left behind a black hole. Which of the statements given above are correct? So friends, take your time and answer this question. So friends, have you answered this question? Here also conceptual clarity is must. This particular question also came in today's Science and Tech column in Hindu newspaper. For answering this question, you should understand the life cycle of a star. Stars are formed initially from nebula, which is in a gaseous state, and this nebula can be converted into either a small star or a large star. If it is a small star, the life cycle will be initially it will be a small or average star, then red giant, then planetary nebula, and finally white dwarf. But if it is a large star or massive star, means the life cycle will be red supergiant, then supernova, and the supernova will explode into neutron star and black hole. Is it clear? And studying this supernova is very much important for scientists because this will help in understanding how the universe has originated. Now going into this particular question, a supernova is the smallest explosion of a star that takes place in space. That is wrong, friends, because supernova is a large star, I said. So the explosion will be large explosion and it will not be smallest explosion. So you can eliminate statement 1 and look at the options given below. Option A, which contains 1, can be eliminated. Option C, which contains 1, can be eliminated. Option D, which contains 1, can be eliminated. So the correct answer is option B, 2 and 3 only. Now cross verify and read the second and third statements again. Supernova are often seen in other galaxies as it is difficult to see in our own Milky Way galaxy because dust blocks our view. That is also correct. And statement 3, scientists recently observed brightest of all time caused by a supernova that left behind a black hole. That is also correct because whenever supernova explodes, a huge amount of light will come and out of that black hole will be formed and neutron stars will be formed. That is also correct. So the correct answer for this particular question is option B, 2 and 3 only. Now moving into the next question. With reference to capital risk weighted assets ratio, consider the following statements. Number 1, CRAR or capital adequacy ratio is the ratio of the bank's capital in relation to its risk weighted assets and current liabilities. Statement 2, the Basel III norms stipulated a capital to risk weighted assets of 9%. Statement 3, CRAR is one of the important parameters used by RBI to put banks under PCA framework. Which of the statements given above are correct? So friends, take your time and answer this question. Have you answered this question? This is also based on conceptual clarity from economics segment. Whenever you study economics, you should also focus upon the application aspect and conceptual clarity because UPSC will test your application and conceptual clarity in UPSC prelims. Fine. And this question is picked from today's Hindu newspaper related to Dhanalakshmi Bank. Because that bank which has its operation from Kerala is it in a crisis state because its capital adequacy ratio is deteriorating to very low and RBI has recently implemented PCA, that is prompt corrective action framework. So what is the basics of all this? We will now go into that. First is capital adequacy ratio. Friends, capital adequacy ratio means whenever a bank lends to any persons, be it be individuals or any financial institutions or corporates, what it has to do is, if it considers the loan amount as risky, it has to maintain out of that risk a certain amount of capital, a certain percentage separately, and that particular ratio or percentage we call it as capital adequacy ratio. Other name is capital to risk weighted assets ratio. Is it clear? And this concept was initially first given by Bureau of International Settlements, which is a central bank for all the central banks of world. That is, we have India, we have the central bank, that is RBI. Like that, for all these central banks of the world, we have Bureau of International Settlements, which is located in Basel in Switzerland, and it has introduced the concept capital adequacy ratio in 1988, that is Basel I norms. And in Basel II norms, it has talked about not only credit risk but also while maintaining the capital adequacy ratio of 8%, the central bank has to consider the market risk and operational risk. That concept Basel II norms was introduced in 2004, and the Basel III norms was introduced as a result of global recession in 2009. Here the capital adequacy ratio has been increased to 12.9%, and whenever the banks are unable to meet this particular capital adequacy ratio, it indicates the bank is in a crisis and it may fail. So during that time, the central bank of a particular country, if it is India, the RBI will intervene by implementing PCA, that is prompt corrective action framework, where increased monitoring will be or supervision will be done by RBI, and the activities of banks such as lending or giving loans will be regulated by RBI. Is it clear? Now going into the question. First statement, capital adequacy ratio is the ratio of bank's capital in relation to its risk weighted assets and current liabilities. That is correct. Statement 2. Basel III norms stipulated a capital to risk weighted assets of 9%. That is wrong because it is 12.9%. Statement 3. CRAR is one of the important parameters used by RBI to put banks under PCA framework. That is also correct. So once you eliminate option 2 in the options listed below, option A which contains 2 can be eliminated, option B which contains 2 can be eliminated, and option D which contains 2 can be eliminated. So the correct answer is option C, 1 and 3 only. Is it clear? Now we'll go into the today's mains answer writing practice question. What do you understand by FATF? Do you agree that the recent removal of Pakistan from grey list will have implications for India? How can India's foreign policy be redirected to resolve this issue? 15 marks. Answer in 250 words. Friends, this particular question is picked from today's Hindu article where Pakistan has been removed from the FATF grey list, and FATF is an organization founded in 1989 and it deals with money laundering and financial terrorism activities. Currently there are 39 member countries in FATF and India is also one of the member. Here FATF maintains two lists. One is grey list, another is black list. In grey list there will be increasing monitoring, whereas blacklisted countries will have increased financial sanctions from international global countries. Now while answering the question you have to discuss all these facts in the first part of the question. What do you understand by FATF? While going into the second half of the question, do you agree? You need to answer whether indicating yes or no. If you are agreeing to this, removal of Pakistan from grey list will have implication for India, and while addressing that also, if you are saying yes, you have to say whether you are completely agreeing or partially agreeing. Is it clear? And now going into the third part of the question, how can India's foreign policy be redirected to resolve this issue? Here you need to talk about how India is collaborating or making an alliance with international countries like USA and other major European countries in this front, and how it is collecting evidence to prove that the activities of Pakistan can be included on the grey list in future. So you have to talk about all these points, friends, and you have to complete your answer in 2.5 pages or maximum up to 3 pages. Is it clear? So I hope this session is useful to you. We'll meet in tomorrow's video, friends, and thanks for watching.